During the fall, like many classes before them, the Woodward Oklahoma class of 1992 recently met for their 30th class reunion. And like most small-town reunions, there was a homecoming parade. Friends met for lunch and attended the local high school football game on Friday night. Old friends caught up and reminisced about stories from the past. The class of 92 also met at a local lodge to enjoy food and stories and one other item, a time capsule. A time capsule that everyone had forgotten about, really. It was a dusty Rubbermaid container that was supposed to be opened in 2012 during their 20th reunion, but it was apparently lost and recently found. And here it was. We expected the standard stuff, magazines, music, pictures, and other heirlooms from 92. It was all those items and more. The capsule also contained 3 videotapes. Tapes of what? Well, it seemed no one really knew or remembered what was on the tapes. We didn't have a VCR handy to view them because, well, we weren't expecting them. But I knew what was on the tapes because I'd shot much of the footage 31 years earlier. It was made during a high school event that we called Future Day, and it was actually recorded at the end of our junior year on May 16th, 1991. And what was the footage? Well, I remember it as driving around town showing what the town looked like that day. It was also on-the-spot interviews, asking students, what would they be doing in 20 years? Would they be married? Would they have kids? What kind of job would they have? So I headed home with the tapes after the reunion, and I was going to convert them to a digital format, and after I finished, I thought, I should do these interviews again. The same people 31 years later. Would they be willing to interview again? Did their predictions come true? What was it like living in a small town and being a kid in that video? Well, let's see if we can find out.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for joining us this evening. You doing all right?
I'm doing great, Kenny. How are you doing?
Awesome. I have some old footage of you, and I'm going to play it so everybody can watch it, and then we're going to review it. I think it's from 31 years ago or so. I think Jack Annis was with me, and he asked what you would be doing in 20 or 30 years, and you had a prediction. So let's go to the tape, and here it is.
What do you think you'll be doing in 30 years?
30 years? Decomposing.
From?
Alcohol poisoning.
Not.
Okay, so you said you would be decomposing, which it doesn't really look like you are right now, but from alcohol poisoning.
Sure.
We know the first one didn't come true, right? But did you at least get alcohol poisoning?
Well, that's possible. Yeah, that probably happened at some point.
The taking a look at that video, I think we were in the cafeteria there, and I think we came and found you, and then, I'm sorry, we walked from the cafeteria because I'll give the whole video later, and we took you in a side room, and then Jack asked you a couple questions, I think, at one point somewhere, and I had another surprise one I'll have to show everybody later. But anyway, joking around, saying some silly stuff. What do you remember about that guy in that time and place? Tell me a little bit about the guy you saw in the video there.
Gosh, that guy was an idiot. He didn't know anything. Had a lot of fun, but he didn't know anything. Obviously I was being a smart ass there, but that in a few years there after high school, the alcohol poisoning wouldn't have surprised me a little bit,
Yeah. I think everybody had their fair share, right, at the time. So that would be good. Yeah. So when you look back, some people had a little kind of knew what they wanted to do, or kind of had a direction in what they wanted to do. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do at that time. I don't even think I'd seen what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I didn't even looked around and seen what it was. But did you know what you wanted to do, or were you just having fun, or tell us a little bit about any direction you had opinion?
Shoot, I still don't know what I want to do, Kenny. I mean, no, I had no idea. I'm sure I had ideas back then, but probably nothing realistic.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I was like everybody else, hey, we're going to go on to college and then I'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't ever. It's kind of interesting, and we'll kind of get to the advice part, where if you could give that guy some advice. But I don't think. I get really vague standard answers, like, yeah, I'll have some steady job and I'll be doing this. And I didn't really. I don't even think I really knew where I was going or what that path was, right? Or I don't think. I guess I'm just figuring out tomorrow. I didn't really know what that was. And I think a lot of people, were kind of that, were that way, but I didn't know what, I don't know, I'll get some job. I don't know what the heck's going on. That's was really kind of my attitude.
Yeah, I really had no plan. I had no idea. And it shows. I mean,
Now, you still had the good hairstyle, though. You still had kind of the long locks and the mullet in the back. You were stylish. That's changed a bit.
That was pretty amazing. I kind of miss that, miss having all that hair. But
so if you could go back to that guy in that place and time, I guess you're probably like right before your senior year. This is the end of your junior year, I think, when that video was taken. Is there any advice, like if that guy would listen to you, right? And with anything that you could say to that guy, or any advice that you could give that guy at that time that would help him?
I'd like to slap him a little bit, but there's so many things. People say, I regret doing this, or I have no regrets. If you didn't have any regrets, then you weren't having any fun, right?
Absolutely.
So, no, buy some Apple stock or something like that. That would be. But I don't know. There's so many things that happen throughout your life that changes your course, I think. So, if you go back and give yourself advice and say, hey, take a left turn here instead of right, then who knows what that would change, So I don't know. No, I don't think so. I wouldn't give him any advice. I'd just slap him around a little bit and say, hey, straighten your ass up. But
yeah, that's probably best. That's probably pretty good advice for everybody to go just knock yourself around. That's
sure.
good. That's a common theme, I think.
Yeah.
Look at, and I always kind of get to this one. And this, we'll archive this answer, but what are you excited about for the future? Anything that you're excited about from the future? So if I interview you again in 10 years, that something that you're excited about?
Enjoy that.
Perfect. Okay, as we wrap up and get going, is there any other thing you wanted to say, or anything you wanted to wrap up with, or
I tell you though, that this reunion, if you guys missed it, you missed something pretty special. I mean, it really was. It was. It's hard to explain. You go back and show some of those old archive videos, and you see your friends just doing their thing, and it does. Somebody said earlier, I think in one of your earlier interviews, that it takes your breath away, and it kind of does. I mean, it just, I don't know if it's just so shocking, or if it just brings you back to a time and place that just, I seeing your own home videos and things is one thing, because that's just a memory that's ingrained. But then you go back and see these things that are memories that you haven't thought of in so many years. And it was great, though. The reunion, I'd never miss another one. I promise you that, because it was just so much fun seeing everybody, and it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And I think there is a difference in almost no one had a memory of it, right? And I think that is a big deal. It's really funny. One or two people had a scad memory of what it was, but it's kind of interesting to hear yourself and look at yourself and watch something back, and something that you have no memory of. Now, I assume you didn't have any memory of it, right?
No, I didn't.
Absolutely. Okay. And it's interesting. People go, wow, that's just not a memory I have, right? It's not part of the visual and the audio part of it. And maybe that was kind of part of the fun and genius of it, is just it happened so quick, and somebody asked you a question. It was just one day out of nowhere, and it went on, and you just said, oh, whatever, and you just went on with life, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of cool that it was saved for all of these years. But I do agree with you there. A lot of people, it's rather than a recording or something when they're small, I think it was kind of a pivotal time when people, we were just about to get into like the very last part of the beginning of our life, right?
Yep.
And I think that how it's interesting how people look at themselves and go, oh, I didn't really see myself that way, or I did see myself that way, or I was more skittish, or I was more bold than what I thought I was at that time. But it is interesting to have people sit back and look at themselves, and then some people go, yeah, that was me, I was a big jackass, that's the first thing I said.
Yeah, that was me.
But yeah, it is. It's been a great thing, and I won't miss another one either. Hopefully, we'll all get together and do it more often. But it's kind of been a fun project in that way. And I think after we're done here, maybe we compile it into one long thing. But for whatever reason, I think it kind of turned out fun and special. But I appreciate you taking the time. I do appreciate you taking the time and talking to us about it. And then I think I'm going to cut real quick and I'll come back. But you haven't seen this. I'm going to send it to you after we're done, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to take a cut real quick. And there was one other question that was asked of you. And I'm going to play it here.
There is sex an alien.
An alien? Well, she kind of looked like an alien.
So Jack asked you if you had sex with an alien. And another cut there. So had you, from the time you graduated till now, you haven't had sex with any aliens, right?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Nothing. Okay.
No.
I had to check the one last one out. I forgot about it until we got into it real far. But okay, we'll check that one off then,
Yeah.
and I'll add it to the.
It's still a goal of mine, but it's
yeah. Not that you're a conspiracy theory nut or anything,
right.
But anyway, we can count that as a lot of things. No, anyway. But I appreciate it, Chad.
There's been some things that happened in the night when thought I was asleep, but
yeah,
no
doubt, man. No doubt. I'll talk to you later, and we'll catch up. Hey, Kim, thanks for joining us and talking to us here and taking a little bit of time. We have some old footage of you. I think it was from 31 years ago or so. And you made some predictions about what your life would be. I think maybe I said 20 years in the video, but this is 31 years later, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Just a few later.
So let's go ahead and look at the footage, and then we'll see what you got right and what you didn't. Here we go.
Okay, my name's Kimberly King, and 20 years from now, I will be rich and famous. I'll probably be riding bulls for a living. I won't have any family. I'll be single. The problems of the world will be, I don't know. And party and have fun while you have the chance.
Okay, let's see here. You said you'd be rich, you'd be famous, you'd be riding bulls, single, no family. So tell us what you got right and what you didn't get right.
Well, obviously I'm not riding bulls. I'm absolutely not rich. I'm not famous, maybe infamous, but I'm not famous. But I do have a family and I am married.
Oh, well, you got nothing right.
I got nothing right.
This is horrible. So let's look back a little bit. So was the bull riding something you just made up at that time, or were you into rodeo or bull riding, or what? Tell me a little bit about that.
It is a kind of a long story, but I had a lot of friends at that time that were riding bulls, and they would dare me when I would go with them to get on a bull. They're like, "Oh, this one, he doesn't buck very hard. Get on this one," and I would, because I didn't want to be a chicken around all these guys, so I would do it. And I didn't do too bad. In a lot of cases, I did better than most of the guys. So
So
Yeah,
you were to make you didn't make it up. It was actually part of what you were doing there. Okay,
right.
that's fine. But you do have a family. Well, you have some kids,
I
and so
I've got twins that are 23, and I've got a son that's 8. I've got a stepdaughter that's 13, and a stepson that's 20, fixed to be 24, and a stepdaughter that's 26. So
well,
I've got
you have a lot of family then.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of family, not no family. So
correct.
tell us a little bit about the when you watched the video and you saw that person there. Tell us a little bit about that person in that time and place, who they were, and just a little bit about them. Do you remember who they were?
I do, and it's funny that we have this conversation because when I very first thought that, I thought, oh, how embarrassing. I was so silly. I can't even. Luckily, you went on vacation, which gave me a lot of time to really reflect on the whole, the reunion and the whole video and everything. And really, I feel like that person has made me who I was today, because one thing she wasn't is weak. I was silly, but what 18-year-olds aren't. But I wasn't weak, and I was willing to put myself out there, and I've always kind of been that way. And I think that's where I have found my most successes in life, is just by taking chances. So
Awesome, awesome. Now we all kind of look back in that way, and that's awesome. You kind of, yeah, it does. It's funny that I think some people, I gave a little less time and a little more time to see the video before it, and you had a little more time, so you had a little more time to process. You had a little more time to process. Is there any advice you would have given that girl at that time, right then?
that it was all going to be okay. I've heard a lot of people talk about they're like, oh, that girl, she was so insecure, when they're talking about themselves, or that I was so insecure back then. I was, and I wasn't. I was very fearful. I always, and that probably a lot of people didn't know that about me. I was strong, but I was fearful of life, like of things. My support system wasn't real big as far as with my family and things. And, I guess what I didn't realize at that time is it would all be okay. Like that is actually what made me stronger as an adult. So, and that's also what I tell my kids too. Like you can do this no matter what life brings you. You can do this. You've got the power to do it. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's and it's funny. Some people were oblivious to the future, like they weren't even thinking about the future. Some people were scared about it, right? And then other people just thought, oh, they had it figured out, and they didn't, but which they didn't.
Right.
They're completely lost. But it is funny. There's a mix of a worry and not worry in between people. But that was pretty interesting. The Another thing that I ask people that we archive is, what are you excited about for the future? Really cool. Great answer. Thanks for the answer. So as we wrap up and we finish up here, is there anything else you want to say, or anything, I don't know, about just the reunion or the time capsule, or just anything else you want to touch before we head out?
Well, I think you had looked up what the last thing I said in that kind of mumbled in that video was.
Oh yeah, sorry. You said, let's see, party and have fun while you have the chance is what you ended with, right? Now we didn't touch that. Now, did you party and have fun while you had the chance, or what happened?
I did do that, but I guess you say things like that when you're 18, but I still feel the same way. Maybe not partying in the same way, but most definitely, people just need to live their life while they have the chance. And, really though, as silly as it was, that's always kind of been my motto, is just have fun while you've got the chance, because you just never know. I guess that's why I turned out to be a nurse, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Good point. Good point. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time. I know you had a busy schedule, and we missed 2 or 3 times to work it out, but thanks for taking the time, and after all these years, and we won't take so long again before we all meet up, and maybe I'll get another interview out of you, and we'll see if the future predictions you may come true later. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Biodegradable popcorn.
These slugs are in the movie.
Popcorn of the future.
This is like one of those new experiments, man. Hey, hang on. As soon as you go in there, turn on the light.
Really?
Yes.
What else did you do? You told me to turn the light on?
Get out
We got him on film.